What's good, everyone? Welcome into another Sus Edwards fantasy football video. Ripping solo today, talking about something I've been thinking about lately, which is maybe this is the year of the rookie tight end. Now, that's not to say that there's not veterans I like. I think Brock Bowers might be the best pick in the second round. You know, Trey McBride is a great option. George Kittle, we know what he can do as a spike guy, and then some mid-round vets as well, like David Njoku and Tucker Kraft. But when I really think about who could be some of the best values in terms of a combination of early season production as well as late season really bringing it all together and being a total smash, I think there are some really well-priced tight ends that are worth diving into and figuring out, are these guys that we're going to need this year? And the more and more I look at their opportunity for production, just their talent profiles, everything coming together around them, camp glaze, if you will. Things are shaping up really well for four rookie tight ends in particular. Let's get into it. So, first tight end we're going to dive into, a lot of people's favorite of the rookie tight ends, at least of the top two. Colston Loveland, 10th overall pick in the 2025 draft, coming in at 248 at 6'6". He's a really good athlete. There's no two ways about it. His production was even better, if you can believe it, a 99th percentile college dominator rating, 87th percentile breakout age per player profiler. The dude put up a lot of numbers relative to the offense he was in. The Michigan pass game was not too great in 2024, but he accounted for a significant portion of that receiving pie. He also ate when he was with J.J. McCarthy on the championship team in 2023. The dude can just play. He's a solid blocker. His blocking is overlooked, but he's an even better receiver. And he walks into a situation with top 10 draft capital where, I like DJ Moore, I like Roma Dunze, but I think there's going to be some targets up for grabs. And even if those two receivers are balling and Luther Burden's doing a little bit, we know in a Ben Johnson system, Ben Johnson, the former Lions offensive coordinator, coordinating the number one offense in the league, where Sam Laporta finished as tight end 1 overall as a rookie. Colston Loveland walks into that Sam Laporta role. Now, some might have concerns about Cole Kmet. There were some injury concerns for Loveland coming into the summer. Well, Cole Kmet is playing more with the twos. Colston Loveland is like the guy right now. So he's already flipped the highly paid vet on the team. That's pretty bullish for August 3rd for that to be the case. And all the injury concerns are gone. He's been full go at training camp. So it's wheels up on health. He's already flipped Cole Kmet. Ben Johnson just gushes and gushes and gushes over this guy. I really don't see what's stopping him from being a top 5 tight end in fantasy this year. We have talent. We have an elite system. We have a path to targets. Like, he's going to be schemed open. He gets open off the strength of his talent. He's good at getting open. He is going to be schemed open. He has great hands. He's their largest red zone threat in terms of size and catch radius. Like, there's really no ceiling as far as like a rookie tight end, what we're going to have here. Like, no ceiling in the sense of like no cap in the ceiling. I think we could get an insane Colston Loveland season. Maybe more yards than one of the 2-star receivers. And even if not, even if he settles in that like 900-yard range, that would still be a smash. Like, we just love good players in good situations, and that's what we have here. I think he would have been way up in ADP if we didn't have those injury concerns or the phantom like Cole Kmet fears. And Cole Kmet will play a little bit in his own right. It's not like he's never going to play, but Colston Loveland is a guy. He is a star in the making, and we should treat him as such. So right now on Underdog, he's going in the 10th, 11th rounds. He's creeping up. He's absolutely moving up. I'm buying that. We want to buy Colston Loveland on the way up. The dude honestly should be going at least in the top 100. And if you made a case to me that he should be going right around TJ Hawkinson, maybe a little bit before, I wouldn't hate it. Now, I think TJ Hawkinson's underrated in his own right. I think you could argue that Hawkinson and Loveland both will finish above a guy like Sam Laporta this year. So very into Colston Loveland. I think you can do 2 tight end builds with him in your best ball teams, even with him as the number 1. I think in your home league, he's a great bet as your tight end. You don't have to pay up too much. And from a value perspective, he could be the best value on the board. Similar bet here in some ways in Tyler Warren, 14th overall pick. Another big dude, 6'6", 256, 86th percentile speed score. I think some people maybe think Loveland's the better athlete, and he is, but Tyler Warren's no slouch as an athlete. He was also a 90th percentile college dominator score on a very solid Penn State team that had some success last year. Now, Tyler Warren is a little bit of a later breakout, and I think that worries some people. But at the end of the day, the dude broke out in such a major way that it's like, okay, the talent is obvious. This is not like he just put up like big numbers, but like it's not really the talent profile. No, this is the talent profile we want. He was playing behind some NFL tight ends before. Like, okay, maybe he could have beaten out Theo Johnson before, but we've seen this. Like sometimes you just have to wait your turn when there's actual NFL guys ahead of you. Even if the other NFL guys ahead of you are not even as close to as good as what you will be one day, sometimes you're just buried by a certain caliber of player. He will be the unquestioned day one starter. There's not even a Cole Kmet talent to speak of in Indy, so he is starting on day one. The snaps and the routes are like all the way there. He moves exceptionally well for his size. He's a playmaker in every way. He's physical. He's smart. Like, this is just another elite talent. Like, the dude is stepping in. I just like betting on elite talent tight ends. We'll see how all the cards may fall. Last year people were putting Brock Bowers in. I don't think Tyler Warren or Loveland are necessarily Bowers, but they don't have to be. We don't need them to be round 2 picks next year to pay off their ADP. There's a big gap between round 10 and round 2, right? Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland, I want to bet on really talented players in round 10. Guys who could just dominate target shares and rack up touchdowns. Tyler Warren could be the number 1 receiver on this Colts team. That is firmly in the range of outcomes because while they have a lot of solid weapons, they don't really have like an elite pass catcher. Josh Downs is more of like a 3 wide receiver set guy. He's like a little bit small. Michael Pittman's very good, but no one's going to say Michael Pittman is elite. Alec Pierce is kind of just a deep threat. We don't know what A.D. Mitchell will be one day. We'll see. But Tyler Warren has the highest draft capital of those guys, and he could just come in kind of like they're saying in camp right now. The dude's catching everything. He's been arguably the favorite target combined between the 2 quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, battling it out. They put it up to this dude, and he brings it down every time. He's had some insane highlight reel catches. And, these clips from training camp can be silly, like these running backs running, when they're not hitting and all this stuff. But like a rookie tight end, like going Odell Beckham style up for catches, I'm pretty into that. I'm pretty pumped on that. And so I think you have a guy who could come in and get like 800 to 900 receiving yards. Plus, he's been getting carries in Colts camp, like at the goal line, lining up out of the backfield, not just like end arounds, but like lining up in the backfield. He could poach a touchdown or 2 at the goal line, which if you give this guy like 100 to 120 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown or 2 at a low scoring position like tight end, that really adds up. Especially if it all comes, in a playoff week where he's got a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown, you could really spike like that. So I think Tyler Warren is a total smash at his cost, where he has very high weekly ceiling. Some weeks might be a little frustrating just due to the nature of, the Colts offense not having great passers. Probably not going to pass for 5,000 yards in this offense, but where a bunch of guys are getting like 800 yards and it's consolidated to 4 receivers and, a running back pretty much. Tyler Warren could carve out his 800 to 900 yards off talent alone, could be their leading target getter. Like, none of that would surprise me. Where he goes around the 10-11 turn, I'm very much into that. So Tyler Warren, another guy with a top 5 tight end season in the range of outcomes. I'd feel good about him in a home league as well. I'd do 2 tight end builds with him as well. If you want to be a little lean and you get Tyler Warren and then like another, like a Goddard or type guy or something, or maybe the next tight end we're about to talk about, I think you can feel pretty solid as far as a 2 tight end build goes at tight end. while you really invest in quarterback and running back and receiver, and you're like, okay, I'm a little thin here. You're in any draft, you're probably going to be a little thin somewhere, but you have upside with a guy like Tyler Warren, where that's like the bet you make in that draft. Like, okay, this is the thing that's going to hit for me. So Tyler Warren, another smash. He and Loveland both smashes as far as elite talents. Now, Mason Taylor is not a guy I would consider an elite talent by any stretch. But the dude steps into a really good role. He got good draft capital, early second round pick, 6'5", 251. He's an above average athlete without mind blowing production, although he was one of the more productive tight ends in LSU history. But he's pretty young, and I think he could translate well in year one. You know, he understands how to attack coverages and how to generate yak. He has good hands. He's very mature and very well rounded for his age. He is going to be the tight end one for the Jets. Now, that's not saying a lot when you look at the depth chart they have, but Tyler Conklin's gone. It is going to be Mason Taylor tight end one season, and he's could be asked to do a lot in the passing game. Now, will it necessarily be the highest volume passing game? Probably not. You know, they look to establish the run this year in New York for the Jets specifically. But they're devoid of pass catchers after Garrett Wilson. You're getting into Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard, Malachi Corley, Arian Smith. Like, I don't know. Like, they're probably not going to sign these other guys as of today, August 3rd. Doesn't look like they're going to bring in anyone notable. So Mason Taylor is very live to be second on the team in targets. And when you talk about, you know, pick 180, a young, talented guy who could have some upside, who could be second on his team in targets, like where it's easy to project that, that's exciting. It's a guy you feel good about in best ball. And like, you know, like the Dalton Schultz is like, there's no, like Dalton Schultz is just, we know what he is. We know what Cade Otton is. We know what all these round 16, 17, 18 tight ends, Jawan Johnson, they're fine. They can have a little week here and there. They can have the 8-point game, the 12-point game, maybe they get the 40 yards and 2 touchdowns once a year, you know, if they're lucky. But Mason Taylor could like hit more regularly. He could have more consistent volume. He might dud less than those guys, and he might just be better than those guys. So from a volume and talent perspective, Mason Taylor could clear all the tight ends that are going around him. Well, most of them. We'll talk about one last guy here, but he's got a very safe role, and the talent, you can bet on the talent. He seems to be having a good camp. He's been scoring a ton of touchdowns, seems to be the locked-in starter. So when we get these routes, we get this talent. This is just like a guy you want to smash in best ball, at least 12% exposure, I think. Always stacked on a Justin Fields team, but even not on a Justin Fields team. Like, I think this is just like, yeah, another guy where you addressed running back and receiver way harder, and you stacked up your 2 or 3 quarterbacks already, and you're like, all right, I need some late round tight ends. And you don't want to do these like boring guys who are going to project for 4 points a game. You're like, let me get Mason Taylor. This is like, okay, maybe he stinks, but if he stinks, then he's Dalton Schultz anyway. So who cares? He's going to be on the field. There's at least some modicum of a floor there. Take Mason Taylor. I don't know if I would take him as your tight end in a home league if you're really desperate and you get totally cooked elsewhere, but I think there's enough tight ends that you might not end up with like a Mason Taylor as your tight end one in a home league. But if you draft 2 tight ends, Mason Taylor could be a fun tight end too. I do think he has a low tight end one season solidly in his range of outcomes. And moving on to the last guy here, bit of a wild card, Elijah Arroyo out of Miami, 50th overall pick in the draft, 6'5", 250. Really good athlete, like a better athlete than Mason Taylor, 87th percentile speed score, 93rd percentile in yards per reception. In college, the dude was picking up chunk play after chunk play after chunk play. To me, when I watch his tape, I see a lot of Darren Waller, like the good versions of Darren Waller in his game. It's like it's actually kind of astounding to see him at his best. Now, we haven't always gotten to see him at his best because he's had some medical issues in the past, some injuries over the years, year in, year out. So you want the guy to stay healthy. It's not a guarantee he will, but if he can stay healthy, he was considered a first-round talent by a lot of scouts. You know, the Seahawks have even talked about how they had him like as like a borderline top 15 guy in the class, so they were really happy to get him. That makes me believe that when you say you had a first round grade on this guy and you were happy to get him, and then you cut your starting tight end and Noah Fant, it makes me think you're pretty excited about this guy. Now, they do have AJ Barner, who's going to compete with him for that starting job, and maybe AJ Barner's the week one guy, but I don't think AJ Barner's some 100%. We're not talking about George Kittle here when we're talking about AJ Barner. We're talking about that guy could just be the blocking guy, and Arroyo could be in on the valuable receiving snaps, like what we care about at tight end now. You want to be good enough at blocking so that you can get on the field in other types of situations, play action, all types of stuff. Just earns the coach's trust and gets you more snaps in general. But Elijah Arroyo does all the things that we want him to do as a receiver. He's so cheap, 16th round pick in best ball right now. He's creeping up. He had been an 18th rounder or undrafted really before the Noah Fant release. But, you look at this Seahawks receiving group, and it's JSN, who's an undeniable good target earner, but he's going to have like 30% target share. That would be great. 70% of the targets up for grabs. We have Cooper Kupp, who looks a lot like Dust to me. Great career, but he looked terrible at the end of last year. Like god awful was Cooper Kupp. Wide receiver 3 MVS. He commands like 2 or 3 targets a game. Like he's not commanding targets. So like who's gonna like occupy the role of DK Metcalf as like the bigger body field stretcher? If you open your third eye and you galaxy brain it a little bit, you could see Elijah Arroyo being a bit of the DK Metcalf replacement. Now, they trade DK Metcalf because it's Clint Kubiak. It's a new system they're running. They don't necessarily need the DK Metcalf level production, but you still want to have some of those elements on your offense. And Sam Darnold is a downfield gunslinger. He's not going to just be checking it down to Cooper Kupp and JSN all day in the short meet. You're going to take some shots. And MVS will be good for 1 or 2 of those, but Elijah Arroyo could be good for 5 or 6 of those. And that's really exciting for a round 16 tight end. We have talent. We have athleticism. All we need is him to get on the field and stay healthy. Neither of those things are a guarantee, but if they hit, it could hit in a major, major way. And we're playing an upside game. We're not playing a median outcome game. So sprinkling in these guys, okay, yeah, he could be a 0. We're all going to lose anyway. But Elijah Arroyo is absolutely a guy who could destroy your pod if you have him on your team. And if you don't have him on your team, he could destroy you in that pod. And I don't want you to be in that position. So definitely sprinkle in some Elijah Arroyo, whether it's a Darnold stack or not. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Torrey Horton. He's starting to get some buzz. He's a wide receiver I really liked coming out. It's like a day 3 type guy. So maybe Torrey Horton actually is healthy enough in his own right, plays a lot. One of these 2 guys I think is going to have a solid impact in year 1. But I definitely want to be at least 8% average or above exposure on Arroyo on best ball teams. I don't think you need to do it in a home league. Your league mates aren't going to know about him. Now, if they say he's starting, it's wheels all the way up. He should fly up the boards. I'm operating under the assumption that in like September and early on, he's operating as the 2, or maybe more accurately, the 1B behind AJ Barner, with a chance to grow that role as the year goes on. But he's another guy who's been having a great camp by all reports. And I'm excited for him. Now, there's 2 other rookie tight ends that get drafted a little bit. Terrence Ferguson on the Rams. I wasn't as into his profile. He could be good, but I think that they're going to roll with Tyler Higbee this year is my understanding. Terrence Ferguson feels more like a contingent injury or 2026 play. And then Harold Fannin, who I really liked pre-draft, but the Cleveland landing spot is so bad, not just because of the potential quarterback play, but David Njoku is like a locked-in top 10 tight end, no 2 ways about it. So Harold Fannin's really going to only get on the field in 2 tight end sets. I don't know how many of those Cleveland will have designed. Now, they don't really have a classic wide receiver 3, but Deontay Johnson, maybe? I don't know. Maybe Cleveland seems like a mess. So I'm not really buying the Harold Fannin thing for this year. Maybe next year if David Njoku leaves. But these are the 4 rookie tight ends that I think you should buy a lot in best ball for 2025, and the first 3 for your home league. So Thanks for checking out the video. Hit like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Peace.